Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming to City Club today. We're excited to have Wildish here. I was thinking about it as I was driving here. I moved to downtown Springfield, probably 16 years ago, and Wildish was there. That was pretty, Plaintown and everything. They're one of that invested very early on in Springfield, and it's been great to see all the things that have transpired since. There's a blurb on our website, so you can get more information about the speakers in Wildish, but I just wanted to note a couple things. They've been occupying the space for 20 years, providing music, community, art, and what I always loved was a place for little kids and youth to go and feel like they're on Broadway. I've always seen kids going in there doing their performance, and I've just thought that because it's such a beautiful facility. And obviously check out their website for all the different events that they're hosting. Today we have John Davis, the board president. He's a full-time realtor, but carves out time to serve on multiple community boards. And we also have Mollie, Skye, who's the general manager. They're going to speak to us about the future of Wildish and hopefully some events coming up. So I'll pass it off to these two so they can speak.
Afternoon. Thank you, Nick. Hello to everyone. My name is John Davis, and I have the privilege of serving as the current board chair of the Richard E. Wildish Community Theater. It is an honor to be with you, the City Club, today to share a little bit about one of Springfield's greatest community treasures. This year marks a special milestone as we celebrate 20 years since the renovation of the Wildish Theater. Many of you remember that before it became the Wildish, it was known as the Mackenzie Theater. And I just talked to Steve about that, who remembers when the Mackenzie Theater was actually built, originally started. Thanks to the extraordinary generosity of the Wildish family, the vision of community leaders, and I think Steve Moe, you were involved in that as well. And support of countless donors, what was once an aging movie theater became a vibrant performing arts center that continues to enrich downtown Springfield. From the beginning, our board has understood that preserving the theater requires more than simply opening the doors. It requires vision, stewardship, and fundraising. Our board is a unique partnership between Rolanda Lane, the Springfield Renaissance Development Corporation, and the Springfield School District, all working together to ensure this theater remains a resource for everyone in our community. Like many organizations, we've experienced significant transitions over the past few years. We successfully navigated our first collective bargaining agreement with the IATSE Stagehands Union, an important milestone that strengthened our professional workforce, while also bringing new financial realities that we continue to manage. We also experienced a leadership transition from Cameron Purdom, our former manager, to our current manager, Mollie, Skye. Mollie Skye has come to us with more stage and theater experience than any previous manager and was recently with the Hope Center specializing in lighting. Mollie has brought a thoughtful strategic vision for the future of the Wildish. She understands that while we must protect this historic building, we also need to expand its impact and position it to serve Springfield for decades to come. The Wildish is home to an incredible family of resident arts organizations, children's productions, local theater companies, music, dance, and community events fill our calendar throughout the year. Some of our resident companies, Rose Children's Theater, Swing Shift Jazz, and Chamber Amici, highlight our season. We are also working to attract more regional and national entertainment, creating new reasons for people throughout Oregon to visit downtown Springfield. At the same time, we face real challenges. Providing a professional A3 theater venue for Springfield high school students has become increasingly difficult. As school budgets tighten and operating costs rise, we're deeply grateful to Selco Credit Union for sponsoring a spring production last year. Unfortunately, due to budget constraints and increasing production costs, that partnership won't continue this season. We're still working on some fundraising to bring them back for the spring season. And Mollie's been very helpful with that. It reminds us that sustaining arts education requires the continued support of our entire community. You're grateful that Mayor Sean Van Gordon and the city recognize the Wildish's importance as both a cultural destination and an economic driver by providing a $20,000 grant over 2 years to help us continue improving our service to Springfield. And when I think about the future, I have one dream I'd love to become a reality. I hope that someday we can establish a Shakespeare program for every third and fourth grader in Springfield, inspired by remarkable work of the Hobart Shakespeareans in Los Angeles. Their experience has shown that the theater doesn't simply teach literature. It builds confidence, empathy, communication, and critical thinking. For many students, especially those who are neurodivergent or who struggle in traditional classrooms, arts provide a place where they can discover talents they never knew they had. Theater gives them a voice, a sense of belonging, and often new direction in life. At its heart, that's what the Wildish Theater has always been. It's a place where stories are shared, where we celebrate our successes, where the city, the Springfield Public Library, the Springfield History Museum, the Chamber, Rotary, Land Lane, and the Police Department, and countless community organizations gather to connect with one another. It is where we continue one of humanity's oldest traditions, the art of storytelling. And through those stories, we better understand ourselves and our neighbors. Leaders like Dan Egan, Steve Moe, the Wildish family, and so many generous donors have the foresight to invest in this remarkable building because they understood that thriving downtowns need more than businesses. They need places that bring people together. Today, the Wildish remains both a cultural jewel and an economic engine for Springfield. Now it's our turn to carry that vision forward by continuing to invest in the arts, in our children, and in this extraordinary gathering place will strengthen not only the theater, but the heart of our community. Together, we can ensure that downtown Springfield remains vibrant, welcoming, and prosperous for our residents, for our visitors, and for generations to come. Thank you. Now I'd like to introduce Mollie Skye. She's going to continue to talk about the Wildish.
Thank you, John. Take just a second to get this situated. Thank you for having all this set up. Now let's. Can you hear me now? Okay. Okay. As John said, I came on recently, and in my time here so far, I've seen the resource that the space is for the community, and I have some notions on how to maintain this incredible resource. For context, here's some of the more specific functions the Wildish fulfills for us with the help of our artistic and funding partners. We are a community forum. Scout hosted an election forum with candidates for our local leaders who were asked the important questions and given equal time to share their stances with our community. We hosted a talk by Doug Ptolemy, who I call Permaculture Elvis, for a sold out crowd of our neighbors who are all working to preserve the flora and fauna of our neighborhoods. We hosted a school showing of questions about the science of bubble art. The ideas shared at these events then spread from our patrons to the wider community. We are a career building hub. Since I started in November, we've hosted 3 beloved interns from A3 who are interested in working in the arts. They got hands-on experience for how a facility like ours works. They made connections with other locals who can now contribute to fledgling adulting skills. We also hosted an introductory class for stagehand local IATSE 675 before the huge Zach Bryan show at Austin. Did anybody go? Yeah, that was massive. And for the loadout after the show, they needed 200 workers to fill that fall. And we helped people the guidelines and practice those skills for about 15 of those new people they had to bring in to fill that cup. This is the photo that I took. Okay, I was on the pyro team that day, so I had to fireworks.
They were something.
We are also a platform for expression. Just since I've been here, we've enjoyed dozens of dance and musical performances where adults and children got to share their hard work, and talent with their families. The joy of their work is enhanced by our production support, and it gives those performers the grandiosity such things deserve. So, just as a sample, this is a, photo from the rehearsal of, Cascadia Chamber Opera's production of Trouble in Tahiti. An absurd, adorable little opera. I think it was Bernstein. I don't remember. But this was a sequence where they're fantasizing about the island in the movie in the middle flames. We got to use rainbow every day. These are photos from on your left, production of Frozen Junior by All That Dance. So sometimes even the dance companies come in and do some children's theater with us. And then a screenshot from when I was testing the Muppet movie that we showed last month. This is Rose Women's Choir, a newer choir in the area that has already grown so much that they've outgrown us. Their first show sold out in about half an hour, and we wound up adding an extra 19 seats down in front that they were basically in the pianist lap. And it was a very intimate and fantastic show. It was all music by women composers. And then the other one is a rehearsal for the Cottage Theater cast of Sunday in the Park with George. That like we also get to be a hub and a rehearsal space. I try to keep the building busy even if we don't have performances. So we've had, I think, 4 different groups just come in and use us as a rehearsal space throughout the past couple months I've been here. Our facility is infrastructure for our community and facilitates those complex interactions between artists that make our community so fantastic. Our next season is already jam-packed with more fabulous events, and we need help to keep the machinery going. We need volunteers. I'm working on building a volunteer forum like the ones they have at the Wow Hall, the Very Little Theater, and any thriving community center needs the help of many hands to keep it hospitable and coming. We also need board members. This is a bigger ask, but we also dearly need dedicated folks with experience to help guide the organization and help with the Herculean load of logistics that it takes to keep this going. And as with every arts organization, we need donors. As I hope you agree, the wealth of this community can do such far-reaching good in our hands to foster the artists that we platform, the professionals we employ, and the connections we forge across our audiences and artists. I hope we piqued your interest in what we do, and I hope everyone here will join our mailing list. Put forward up on the newsstand over here. We will keep up with what's coming up next, and check out our website and see which of our upcoming shows you might like to attend. I know John also brought a printout of some of our posters of late. And that list is always refreshing. We're booking something new all the time. And movies, some of you can even come join us for the adventure that is Making It Art in Springfield. Yes.
Questions? Does anyone have any questions?
Questions for me, questions for John?
I've got one. I've always heard rumors, I mean, a couple of years ago that the building adjacent, that was possibly gonna be expanded for like event space, that way really complement.
That would be amazing. And I know that's kind of top of mind for SRDC. So I'm gonna leave that ball in their court and like, it would be fantastic. We've had like a, what was it, like a daydream session where we were just thinking of all the different things that we could do with more space. Like I could have an office that's bigger than this podium. We could have storage space, we could have meeting space, we could have a break room for our employees, we could have dressing rooms that are accessible to ADA folks. Because currently I don't have any way to host performers who can't go upstairs. So the expansion into a new space would help with some of those immediate needs. And certainly whatever it turned into would make exponential use of that.
Yeah, and currently that building is for sale and owned by David Lovell, and he's shown interest in working with us to try and figure out something. And so I know there's been plans created by Campfire Architecture to bring in a restaurant in addition to all the things.
quick question. So, I served on SOUC, we do this work to go forward. The young lady that is back on the board, I'm hesitant, for a good reason. But I understand about the building, but the site, that's a heavy area.
Yeah.
But besides the building, what's kind of the next thing you need to compliment, hopefully with what you're doing?
Yeah, so did everybody hear that? He was asking, what other, efforts we're working on that can complement something like the dream that would be expanding our building. I could actually share this with you. I have a 5-year plan. And some of this involves, bolstering our existing infrastructure. There were a lot of, procedural things that I expected to find when I got here that I did not, so I'm making them from scratch. So there's a lot of just like getting us to where I think would move us as an organization in terms of our foundational things. I'm being big on this intentionally, like there is no end to that list. And then also, kind of bringing our organization into alignment with the times and the people who work with us. So I have a definite goal that, more of our employees can get a little farther away from the poverty line. And that's a 5-year plan. We'll see how long it takes. But most of the entertainment workers in our town are within spitting distance of the poverty line, myself included. And like, that's nobody's fault. And also, I hope we can do better. So among many, many other things, expanding, John mentioned we were hoping to expand our programming to include more national acts. We had a proof of concept, Troy Rainey came and did a singer-songwriter set that went very, very well. And it was nice to dust off, some of my, touring production experience stuff. It's like, no, I know exactly how this works. Compared to some of our more homegrown things, the national tours are sometimes easier.
Yeah, and I think the way we're gonna get there is with more volunteers and more fundraising. And really just, I think you know exactly what we need. We just need to give you more support.
I'm trying to find my follow up on that. So the fundraising part is something, because I know most organizations, arts organizations, rely a lot on fundraising.
Yeah.
So how is that effort at the Wildish? And what's the future? For
Yeah.
that?
So, this question was about fundraising. So, we have a handful of targets. So, we are fundraising always for our general operations. We are fundraising for different programs that we hope to implement. We applied for a grant that we'll hear back about next month. Not only for us, that would help us subsidize the production costs for nonprofit groups. And even if we don't get that grant, I'm hoping to keep the need in the forefront of our minds so that we can help those groups who want to be here get the fullest experience. Because one of the most common things I get is like, well, you can't afford the production that you just described to me. Here's the corners that I think we can cut. And that doesn't feel good. That doesn't serve the art in the way that we want to. That doesn't stretch our capabilities even in the slightest. And it doesn't feel good. It's like when my technicians know, it's like, hey, why didn't we do this? Like, we have it. It's like, yeah, we just couldn't afford it. So that's kind of top of mind for me. In addition, the building has quite a lot of needs now that it's 20 years old. We have quite a lot of facilities needs that we're fundraising for. And then I think the really exciting one this year is for A3. Bringing A3 back in as a partner as they were at the beginning and have been pretty much this whole time. Making sure that those kids at the Academy of Arts and Academics can use the production facility across the street instead of having to go all the way to Thurston High School or down to some of the other schools in town that they get free use of those facilities, but can't mount the production that their work deserves. So, and their operating budget, so if they got to come to us for their jazz concerts, their dance concerts, their end of term showcases, which combine everything they've been working on, and then also their 2 fall and spring theatrical productions. I think everybody saw this year they're doing Macbeth and the Drowsy Chaperone. See those wherever they land up. But we want to bring those back, and the entire budget for their whole season is about $27,000. So that's our current fundraising target for that one. Sarah Naga and Carrie Davidson are kind of heading up that effort, and we're in regular fundraising meetings to try organize ourselves for all of our different target fundraising. That's
And Carrie Davidson and Sarah Naga. Sarah is a parent over at A3 and Carrie is the theater director. And Mollie, you've been and created, I think, a group of about 10.
Molly, do you get to work with Skylar or any of your contacts at the Hope to take acts that they're not able to take for whatever reason?
yeah, sometimes. So Marianne just asked if sometimes I get to use some of my contacts for the Holt Center to bring acts that they can't service. Yeah. And also the reverse. So to Hannah Buckley at the Holt Center so that she could get them in there. So it's kind of going both ways. And my dear friends over there have been an invaluable resource. And when I was the assistant technical director there, like I learned so much just about all of these different camps. So now I know what questions to ask. So even if I hadn't done it, I know who to talk to.
Kelly over at Arts and Business Lines Eugene runs the Eugene version of that national study that shows the economic impact of arts in your community. Fabulous data that shows night stays and those ancillary costs or spending around restaurants and hotels and all of that. And I think it's been great for Eugene. It's always been a little bit of a frustration that Springfield's not been involved in that. As an arts organization, what would you find the benefit being part of that study if we were to expand?
Oh, it's incalculable. I don't know what the larger org structure for ABAE is, but what Kelly got going on for the west side of the High Crest for the work that artists are doing and the work that businesses and artists groups are doing together, other microcosm of how that is, and I'm sure that information is out there as pertains to us, what all of the different events in our community provide for businesses. I would love to see that expand here. I don't know how on earth that would happen.
My understanding was it was like $5,000 and then it's a lot of volunteer hours to stand out there and collect.
Wonder if the chamber was. Because the ROI of the events is so important to show.
That's like,
Yeah.
And our new treasurer, Jordan Hayes, is very interested in creating some documentation around that. Jim Couples, who's trying to bring in a couple of shows, is also trying to create some data around, the number of people that Wildish brings to Springfield. And so, to kind of support some of the investment the community has done there.
That sounds like a lunch meeting we should have, John.
Yeah, there's just a lot of work to do. And so if anyone's interested in getting involved, we'd love to figure out a way to help you participate. Also, I've met recently with Ginevra, who's run the shed for years and raised a lot of money. And her observation when we sort of talked about our structure at the Wildish is you kind of need more board members. And part of that is board members turn into donors or vice versa. And she's got 32 board members over the shed. And so that'll give you some idea of how you make that happen. And so I've been talking to Joe about, making some.
Molly, last night John was telling me a little bit about the shows that are coming to the Wildish. Do you want to share just a little bit about what's
Did you
coming?
grab that printout?
Yeah.
Because 50% of it. Yeah, perfect.
It's a very eclectic,
Yeah.
so I just think it's really interesting and people might be like, oh, I want to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
and your write-ups are amazing.
Thanks, yeah. So I've had the great fortune for one of my dearest friends to have a lot of time this summer to help me with booking. And this represents a pretty wide swath of the kind of music that he's interested in and the contacts that he has. So last fall, I was trying to book a group that would do a Thelonious Monk tribute show, and that fell through. The band dissolved, and my buddy Saxon was like, "I got people." So we actually recruited this act to happen. It was like, "Hey, can you guys do a Thelonious Monk tribute show?" This is coming August 21st, 7 p.m. at the Wildish. Your tickets are $25 in advance, 30-day of show. They had a rehearsal with us last week, just so I could get a sense of their needs and take some pictures. These are some incredible musicians. The write-up of Who's up on our website if you're interested, and I hope that you will join us. It's incredible. Another one that they did, so Saxon is a good old punk himself and has recruited several upcoming punk shows. I won't belabor these because I don't think we're the demographic necessarily. But we're hoping to expand some of our regular clientele to include some more young people and those folks who are looking for community in those sort of spaces and have some diversity to the kind of theaters that they can find themselves in.
There might be old punks in the room.
Yes.
Say it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess you could go and not be in the pit. That's
Definitely
another
not
option.
gonna be in
Yeah,
the
that's
pit.
another option. The Northwest Youth Corps is putting on a talk, I wish they'd included her in the write-up, but they're including a talk, they're doing a talk with, this woman who can identify parallels between the Civilian Conservation Corps and the work that Northwest Youth Corps is doing now, along with a whole bunch of other, stewardship of lands things. That's coming, September 23rd. Tickets are only $10 and they expect to sell out. So if you're interested in that one, I would get on that quick. True Loves is a rock and soul band from Seattle that has some pretty wide appeal here, and they're joining us on October 8th at 7 o'clock. I think these tickets are $25 for general admission. And that should be a lovely night. They have, I think, 2 90-minute sets, so it's gonna be quite an evening. Yeah, they do really beautiful music. October 10th, we're having A Boy Named Sue, which is the Johnny Cash tribute band. That's again, 7 p.m. on October 10th, $20 in advance, 25 at the door. It's a local artist who moved to the East Coast and has come back for a like nostalgic reawakening of this band. So they're very excited to be here. We're very excited to have them. So, and that's just a sampling, like that has nothing about our resident companies and all of the other local groups who frequent our venue. So like our calendar is very full for this year. And I hope to see you all for something around down the line.
Any other questions?
John, can you talk a little bit about the structure of the board? The ideas that you have for all there.
Yeah, so right now we have 2 members, each from Willamette, the school district, and the SRBC. And so that's been the tradition at the theater, along with 3 at-large board members. So we have a spot available in each of those categories right now, except for the school or Willamette, we have 2 members from Willamette right now. So, you know, I think the history there is that when new board members come on, they realize that, you know, this is kind of a working board. And then you start talking about fundraising, people get a little intimidated. And so, so keeping board members going is a little challenging at times, but I think it's very rewarding and I've really enjoyed being there. The vision is that by spreading out the workload, getting more people on the board, more people involved. We're also trying to do that with volunteers and forming the fundraising committee that Mollie's working on. But it turns out, you know, if sometimes it takes your name on the board list to really get 100% commitment out of people. And so that's where we're exploring, expanding that number. And we're thinking of going up to 15, but you know, there's some details because, you know, the main goal of the board is to protect this as a community resource. And so that's something that always comes up is, you know, the board actually owns the Wildish Theater. It appears that we get a lot of money from the Wildish every year or the school district or Willamette, and we really don't. We get, you know, the most money from the Wildish, but the different entities don't necessarily bring anything to our budget. But they bring a lot of influence and help on the board. And so, you know, we're trying to expand that a little bit and get people to be more involved. And so I'm in touch with Michael and I'm planning to meet with the new superintendent to kind of talk about that stuff. Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah. Molly, can I take a picture of that and send it to you?
Everybody gets to go back in the smoke early. So just a reminder, August 20th, we're doing a tour of Park in the Park. That one you need to register and it needs to be done by the 13th because it's gonna be limited availability for people to go on it. So that should be a fun event. And then we're gonna be getting into the canon political stuff. Political stuff's coming soon, so it'll be an interesting season for that. So thank you all for coming and hopefully a lot of you will be there on August.
Did you have something to say?
Nick, the registration link is going out on the
Oh,
thirteenth.
it's going out on the 13th.
And you can register anytime between the thirteenth and about the 17th.
Okay. So look for that to come out on the 13th. So, all right, well, thank you all.
Thank you.